It's time for the 32081 Scoreboard Show. Let's recap the latest weekly scores and highlights from around the county.
And thank you for that introduction. I am the Todd, and can you believe it? It's already week 5. It's week 5, and we're about to get into some serious district play here. But before we get started for this show, as you know, we don't collect any revenue, but we do like to give shout-outs to local individuals and businesses that support the athletes in our area. With that said, we have to give one of the 32081's friends, a really good friend for a while here, Jimmy Vernoticola. We met Jimmy when his son played middle school with our son, and he has donated so much of his time and talent capturing photos from a variety of sporting events around the area. You've probably seen him maybe out at JDL, Pop Warner, middle school games, high school games, whatnot. So a big shout out to Jimmy for everything you do and all the time and your talents that you donate to the student athletes here in the 32081 area. Before we bring in our first reporter, in a big matchup, the St. Augustine Jackets took down the Nease Panthers 28-24. The Nease defense played lights out, including a big play when Cash Colbo intercepted a Brenton James pass in the end zone and returned it for almost 40 yards. But aside from that, the Jackets offense was very productive. James threw for 293 yards, with 100 going to Samorian Wingo and 138 to Julio Santiago. James also racked up 77 yards on the ground. But Nease's offense struggled getting the running game going, and 2 touchdowns came on trick plays, one being a 52-yard pass from Ty Ford to Braden Felder for a touchdown. And Chase Pfeiffer, well, he continued to show why he's the human pretzel with some of the catches he made. But again, St. Augustine wins 28-24, and the Jackets go to 5-0 on the season. And now, I know he's been dying to talk about football. We're going to lead off the show with him. That's Super Mario, because his boys, the Bears, they got their first win. Super Mario, how you doing today?
Yeah.
I know you got to be doing good. I'm asking that question. I already know you're doing great.
Oh, I'm doing fabulous. Great win. I'm really proud of the boys, the young men. Excited to talk about this game. Yes.
So, Super Mario, one thing I want to ask you about this is I was looking at the stat line here. One of the most impressive things about this 42-0 win that you had over Orange Park was it looks like you were able to grind it out seriously on the ground. I do see that, Colson, the backup quarterback, came in. They didn't cover over 100 yards, but when you look at the run and how many people contributed to the rushing game, it's got to be nice getting that until you go into this gauntlet, which we'll talk about with the schedule. But, I mean, you've got to be happy with the running game in this one against Orange Park.
I was really, really happy. I was, I don't want to say surprised. I was really taken back by just the pure readiness of the offensive line. They were making lanes and the running backs. I mean, it was awesome. And how they distributed the ball between the backs. It was something that it looked like old Bears football.
So when you look at this and you talk about this, I know that it was on a slide. I know I've talked to you. I've talked to other people over at Bartram. Hopes were starting to go down. You were always positive. I'm going to give you credit right now. You're like, I'm believing these Bears when the nose is to the grind. How big is this win, though? Because now you start to look at the district play, kicking off with Tecoy Creek, that's been playing very well under the new head coach, Kevin Doling. You run Nease, St. Augustine, and Buchholz to wrap up the year. How important of a win do you think this was mentally for this Bears football team before you get into this back half of the schedule?
I think this was the game that would have been the make or break for the season. And you can see from the last week coming up to this week, the boys really got together and it was a lot on their shoulders. You can see it, you saw it, how they were practicing. I mean, it was intense. It was intensifying. They were focused. And I actually haven't seen them that focused in a long time. And I think they saw the season slipping away. So it was really good, really, really good to see them come out and make a statement. And I think that's what we needed as Bear Nation in order to go forward with the rest of the season.
The two other questions I have for you is this: is one of the top running backs in the area, of course, is Arthur Lewis, senior running back for Bartram Bears. And I've got to ask you, his performance was very good. 14 carries. It looks like he finally got, that game that he won, 14 carries, 121 yards. What can you tell me about this young man and his performance against Orange Park?
I think the last time I seen someone run like he was running was when Eric Weatherly was there.
Okay.
He is a phenomenal young man, and how he handled himself, how he handled the ball. He was running with a purpose, running down running down the field. I mean, if you were there, you were moving. It was the ball movement, not being so predictable on offense, and just him being who he is as a young man and as an athlete, one of the top athlete, I think, in our program. It showed. He really showed us that he is the leader of that team.
Well, I tell you what, you mentioned Eric Weatherly in the same sense as Arthur. I mean, that's a compliment right there for that young man, because I know exactly what you're talking about. So it's good to see him to have that game. Like I said, 14 carries for 121 yards. And now switching over, one of the things about this back half of the schedule that you do have in the favor of your Bartram is that you do host Tocoi and you host Nease this year. So switching away from the football team, what are you thinking the atmosphere is going to be like when Tocoi Creek comes in over there at Bartram on Friday, 9/26?
Well, I'm really hoping that the parents shake some of the early part of the season and look forward and just try to galvanize each other. It's been so deflating to not win and to come out on the bad side of all these games. That right there can be a game changer. And I hope that us as the parents and the fans of this program will motivate other things to happen and everyone else, because we're going to need it. The kids need us to be there for them and to push them through. Because I really think after that win, you saw the gleam of the lights in their eyes. I mean, it was that powerful to have that win against Orange Park this week.
That's awesome. And, I wish you guys the best of luck. I'm so happy for you. You and I are good friends, and your son's like a second son to me. So, it's great I'm glad for both of you as well as your program to get that win. And you come on smiling. It's nice to hear you smiling on the radio because I can hear it over here.
Oh, yes.
So thanks again, Super Mario. And we will check in with you and see how things go against Tocoi Creek this week.
All right. I can't wait. Thanks, Todd. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to check in over at the Reef, where the Baracudas were hosting the Crusaders of Bishop Kenny. And as always, joining us from the Reef is Cuda Mike. Cuda Mike, how you doing?
Good. How you doing this weekend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. And I know you're doing great because the Baracudas, they handled the Crusaders. Now, this was a good game. It was 35-31, I think the Cougars ended up winning. But it was a pretty good game. And Eddie Jordan, I heard, just threw for like over 500 yards or something. My son was at the game and told me that. I mean, that's insane, man.
Yeah, it was a big battle. It was a battle. We had one offensive lineman out this week. We had a new offensive lineman. The offense played great. We struggled here and there, but we had to score when we had to score. It was a very exciting night for Eddie and the team.
Two things I want to ask you about are two players that I've been following since they were little, and that's Maddox Hunstead and Marco Lanz. I know Marco's been playing both sides of the ball. Maddox, a Bowling Green commit that is also playing tight end, tall drink of water ever since you and I actually saw him playing at Pop Warner since I think they were 9 or 10 years old. How are both those players playing right now for the Baracudas?
They're playing well. Maddox had a good night. He had 3 touchdowns. They covered him well the first half. In the second half, he got loose, and we done well with Eddie. Eddie had plenty of time to throw to Maddox, and then Mark on the defensive side did well the first half. The second half, they ran away from his side. So it was kind of tricky. They moved him around a little bit, but overall, the defense came up well. We had 5 starters out on the defensive side of the ball, and thank God we have a bye week coming up this week, and we'll be ready for Tocoi in 2 weeks.
So that's exactly what my next question was going to ask you was, you have a bye week coming up here before you host the Toros from Tocoi on October 3rd. Does this bye week come at a good time for the Baracudas?
Yes, we have about eight starters out. We're banged up a little bit. We've been playing the physical football on the offensive defensive side of the ball. But it's halfway through the season. All these kids need a little break once in a while,
Oh, I do know it. And I want to ask you also, I know that with this being on a Thursday night, you were able to catch up with some of the kids, I say kids, boys, that you've seen grow up since they were 8, 9 years old. I know that Derek Hardy, Jacob Curry, Damian Bridges, you, of course, know Aaron Sadaros. You've seen him grow up. What's it like? I asked Mike tonight last week, and I want to know from you, what's it like seeing these kids that you've seen since 8 or 9 play football? This is their senior year, and you get to see, you get to watch them play and how much they've grown throughout their careers.
it goes by quick. I mean, as parents, it goes by so quick. You don't think before you know it, they're going to be graduating here in a few months. But yeah, it was nice seeing all these kids. We have kids from Beachside, Nease the other night, and kids from Bartram Bowls came out. All these kids that play together. It was a pretty cool moment for everybody. A lot of these kids played on the LPA championship team when they're in 2021. They all came out and supported each other, and a lot of them went to different games over the week, to the Nease game or the Bowls game over the week, and the Bartram game. So it's pretty cool watching them grow up. They've been 100 pounds. Now all these boys are 6'6", 200.
Yeah, and we all see it on our grocery bills, don't we? That's for sure.
Yep.
So, and the other thing I mentioned this for, Mike, is the fact that, you've got some of these players like Derek. You've also got Mario Middleton, who plays over at Bartram, Harrison Letty, that's over at Creekside, and they're actually officiating for you now over at Creeks flag football. And you've seen these kids grow up through the Creeks program, through Pop Warner. Now they're officiating for the program and stuff. And I mean, it's such a great program that is run over there by you and the staff and stuff. And I know you have signups going on, so I kind of want to give you a moment to tell people how they could sign up, a little bit about the program, and make sure that they get involved early, just like these boys that are playing on Friday Night Lights did.
Yes. It's kind of great to see these kids ref. They were always, sometimes learn how to argue with the refs. Now they're getting argued with by the coaches and parents and everything. So it's very good for these kids. It's their first opportunity, probably their first job that they ever had. We have over about 700 kids signed up. If you're interested in playing, we have 5 to 14-year-old flag football. We have 8 to 13-year-old girls flag football. And we also have 7v7 for U12, U14, and U18. And the league has grown. We're continuing to grow. We have the new turf field out there, Plantation Park. And if you're interested in signing up, go to caaflagfootball.org, caaflagfootball.org. And if you're interested in reffing, you can sign up there too. 30-some football players that play at Creekside, Bartram, Beachside, and Nease that ref. It's pretty neat as these kids started playing at 5, 6 years old. Now they're 17, 18-year-olds as adults, and they're reffing.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, I think that's important to note here, Mike, also for everyone out there that's listening is, you hear about these young men that are out there officiating. It wouldn't be possible also with the crew that you have behind them, because like Brian Vostine, who really oversees that entire program, along with Sam Maroon and Rob Farley. So when you've got your kids out there playing, you're not going to have just teenagers or young men out there officiating. You've actually got officials behind them walking the fields, making sure everything's being called correctly. And it's just, I think it's a really good experience, and it's a great way to get your kids involved in flag football and determine which way they want to go. It's a great time, and I think it's perfect for every family.
Yes, it is. Since we brought them 3 on, my problems have gone down 95% on a Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning, and even on the playoffs. So our officiating is so much improved. We're probably the only league that does serious training besides probably the high school leagues. We have great staff from Ricky Williams working with the board, with the coaches, and I have 11 board members, and they do a wonderful job.
And also, we talk about these young men officiating. Don't forget, you had one of the first young female officials last year out there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Abigail's coming back, and we're going to have there's more girls signed up. I think we doubled the teams this year. We're going to have about 8 teams, our goal. So we're right on track for that. So it's going to be exciting. So Abigail refs some more girls games this year.
Yeah, so if you're interested in officiating, whether a young man or a young woman, and you want to get involved in it, make some extra money, have a good time. And also, for anyone that's interested in getting their children involved in playing flag football, this is a great organization to do it. And once again, Mike, what's the best way for them to go sign up?
www.caaflagfootball.org.
All righty. Thank you very much, Kuda Mike. And listen, I'm going to tell you, I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I'm going to miss you, man. You're on a bye week. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I'll be at somebody's game, so if you want me to get play-by-play,
I'm still trying to figure out if I can get Scuba Steve out to the reef. I might get escorted out, but I'm trying to figure that out.
Hey, one more thing I want to say about the game, but Eddie's leadership all game long, he wasn't rattled. He got hit a couple times. He was a field general on Thursday night for us, and you don't get 535 yards very often.
That's insane. That's just insane.
Yep.
Wow.
So
he can sling it. It. Good kid too. Good kid. Good family as well.
Shout out to the offensive line, man. Can't do anything without the offensive line.
That's very true. It all starts in the trenches, doesn't it?
Yep.
All right, Cuda Mike. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy your bye week. I'm sure you will, and we will follow up with you after the Baracudas host the Tories from Turquoise Creek on October 3rd. Thank you very much, sir.
Yep, I'll see you at the Surf and Turf Bowl.
Sounds good.
On the 3rd. All right, buddy.
Awesome.
Take care.
And we are joined now by the friend of the program who's been covering the Ponte Vedra Sharks for us all season. That's Jocelyn James. JJ, thank you for joining us. How are you doing? I know that you guys had a nice little win there against Menendez.
Yeah, absolutely. 48-6 victory.
Okay, so it wasn't
Menendez.
a little win. It was kind of a big win.
It was a big win. It's the reason behind it, and is first time the Sharks had a balanced offensive attack. Usually Cole Rosendahl has been throwing for over 300 yards a game, and this time he was kept to 234. And by the way, that's still excellent for those of you guys expecting 300-yard games every week. That's very tough to do. And the reason why we're finally under 300 yards passing is that our rushing yards in that game, I believe, accounted for 178 total yards there on the ground, which is really nice to see. So a balanced attack finally was established, first time this season, and obviously the scoreboard reflects that.
So how big of it was this when bouncing back after a district loss to Beachside that we talked about, and now you're rolling into Fleming Island, whose only loss is to a very, very tough Oakleaf team mentally? And I kind of, have talked to others about this with their teams also bouncing back, but how important of a win do you think this is as you roll into Fleming Island? Because I hate to say it, JJ, you're kind of almost in a do or die situation here because you dropped one to Beachside, you drop another one to Fleming Island. You're kind of sitting there going, oh, we're hoping for help from some other people.
Yeah, and so here's the thing about that. Number one is we've got one of the, or probably the defensive leader on the team, Talon Babin, back. That was his first game back, and
since Nease. Since what was that? The second quarter, third quarter? So I can't remember.
Second quarter
of the Nease game.
Quarter. Yep, and that's where Nease went 28 unanswered points in the second quarter, and so he came back, and he's a true leader. He's an Old Dominion commit, which is an unbelievable program that just beat Virginia Tech recently, which was a huge win for that program. And so his leadership, his engine sparked everything, and that 48-6, that 6 was one long pass. So basically, other than one play, the defense pulled off a great defensive scheme, and his leadership in coming back to Ponte Vedra and being out there was a big shot in the arm. So anyway, with that though, going into the district game, right? Fleming Island, defensive leaders back, balanced offense attack, coming back home after 3 straight away games. Everything is set up to say, hey, Ponte Vedra's established themselves and has gotten over that Beachside loss, and now it's game time. And, I think they're in a good position playing at home, defensive leader back, balanced offensive attack. Alex Winkles, their running back, rushed for a career high, I believe, well over 100 yards. The passing offense was good and where it needed to be to put up 48 points. And so, we're looking forward to that game.
Yeah, Alex actually had a great game. He had 15 carries for 132 yards, averaging 8.8. You can't ask much better than that. And I think you're right. I think that's the big thing. You talk about the balance of the team, rushing and passing. They finally got that, but I think you're right. I think having Talon back at defense is going to be a big thing for them to get now the balance on the offense and the defense. And the other thing, too, JJ, is the fact that, like you said, you're playing at home. I'm imagining, and I want to know what you think about this, I'm just thinking that the tank is going to be a little bit electric on 9/26.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one other thing that we haven't really mentioned, Reese Beck, the Rutgers commit, he caused 2 fumbles, recovered one of them, had a couple of tackles for losses, and was dominant. And so he came out as well. And so, again, the Talon Babin story of him coming back, bringing that leadership and lifting everyone else on the defense was great to see, and really excited to see where this team goes next.
But let's talk about that real quick. Before I let you go, I want to ask you something since you brought it up. Reese Beck, like you said, I mean, he's a great player, and he's a Rutgers commit and stuff like that. And of course, we mentioned Talon. But here's a question I have for you about Reese is that in your opinion, because it seemed like to me that when Talon went out in the Nease game, Reese started drawing a lot of double teams. So it seemed like to me in these last couple games since Talon was out that the other teams have kind of keyed off on this, able to kind of double team up on Reese, which has allowed some other defensive players to get some tackles, but also you still didn't have, like you said, your starting captain there in Talon to kind of work with him in tandem. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I mean, you said it perfectly. With Talon coming back, with the pressure that he can do rushing from the linebacker position, keeps everyone's eyes and focus on him, and that did leave a lot of one-on-one opportunities for Reese. And so you're spot on. It's going to be fun and interesting to see that tandem working together and helping each other out. And I think the stats will pile up that way.
Well, this Friday is going to be interesting, JJ, with the Sharks hosting Fleming Island for that district game, seeing if they can pull it out with kickoff at 7 o'clock. So as always, thank you for joining us, and we hope we get to talk to a very positive JJ next week after this game.
As do I. Thank you, Todd.
And now we're going to check in with Mike the Knight as the Creekside Knights were on the road to Winter Park, about a 2-hour drive south about it. Wasn't it, Mike? About 2 hours?
Yep.
Kind of near Orlando a little bit? Yeah,
Yep.
About that. So I know that you guys are hoping to come out of this 3-game skid, and you won the game against Bartram. We were thinking, hey, you're going to rattle off 3 wins. Everything's looking good. So how'd it go?
Well, I mean, it started off good, Todd. I mean, the first half was probably the best offensive half of football we saw, I think, this season collectively. I think we had a 20-10 lead at halftime, but as good as things went in the first half, they went that far south in the second half, and it's a 4-quarter game. So we just turned the ball over too many times. I think we had five picks total in the game, 3 pick sixes. The fourth, guy got down to the 1-yard line, so I almost look at that as a pick six. So, again, we talked about Max Steen, Creekside can't beat Creekside. And unfortunately, especially in the second half, that's what happened last night.
We've talked about the defense and that they're young, but they're getting some good experience at the varsity level this year. But I also want to ask you about the offense, and has it kind of morphed probably from the original viewpoint? Because, Harrison Letty was the quarterback, then Rozzie Sperry came in. And one of the things I've kind of seen happening, I don't know if this was a game plan or not, so I just kind of want to ask your opinion on this, but Jackson Earl's become kind of a focal point in this offense, and you see him sometimes at Wildcat punching in or whatnot, but it seems like he's been a very significant part of this offense.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson's such a talented athlete. And, he came into Creekside his freshman year as a running back. They switched him out of need to safety his sophomore year. So it's not like running back is something that's totally new to him, but they've got that sort of heavy jumbo package where they bring in a couple linebackers from the defense to help block and just kind of go wildcat to him in short yardage situations. And I think he scored 3 touchdowns last night and 2 against Bartram. So it's certainly something that's worked, and he's just a talented guy. You want to have him on the field as much as you can.
And it seems like also Winter Park, obviously a disappointing loss there. Sandalwood, that's who you're rolling into this week. They're having their woes. They're down. It seems like this could be, I hate to predict it early, but it looks like this could be a good game for Creekside to bounce back. They're going to go up against the tough Fleming Island team following that, and they roll right into districts against Atlantic Coast.
Yeah, so, all the games count, obviously, but this is kind of where it gets real for us. This is our first district game, and, of course, we're in such a small district with only 3 teams total in our district, so you can't afford to really lose any of those. So this is a big week going up against a team, Sandalwood, that struggles. But, if we have those flashes where we kind of beat ourselves with the turnovers, anybody can beat anybody. So, I look forward to a good week of practice. I'm sure Coach Mack will get them refocused now that they've got, district to think about. And I expect a good game from them Friday night.
It goes back to Creekside can't beat Creekside, right? But you're right. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want to predict it because it's any Friday night. Anything can happen. But if Creekside doesn't beat Creekside, you win against Sandalwood, and then you go into Atlantic Coast, and that's really the district right there, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you take care of business, Friday, then that Atlantic Coast game becomes a de facto district championship game, basically. Got Fleming, which is always a good game in between there. And then after the Atlantic Coast, obviously we've got, Reigns and Ponte Vedra as well. So, a lot ahead of us, but I'm glad we're getting into district play now. I think it'll give the boys a chance to focus on, that was their main goal. That was Coach Mac's big goal coming into the season is win district and try to make a deep run in the playoff.
All right, Mike the Knight, thank you very much. We'll be excited to hear what happens out there at Sandalwood. You're playing at Sandalwood on September 26th, so we're excited to hear how the Knights do there in their opening district game. So thank you again for everything you do, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Todd.
If you're wondering where Billy the Bull is, well, they had a bye week, so he's resting up for this week's matchup. And here's your schedule for this week, with games kicking off at 7 o'clock this Friday, with the exception of the Creekside versus Sandalwood game. St. Augustine will host Lake City, Columbia in a battle of 5-0 teams. Ponte Vedra will be hosting Fleming Island at the Tank. Nease is traveling to Buchholz in the first district matchup for both teams. Bartram Trail will host Turquoise Creek at home in a district matchup. And as I said, Creekside will travel to Sandalwood, and they will kick off their district play with the game kicking off at 6:30 p.m. Again, all their games are at 7. Creekside at Sandalwood is kicking off at 6:30. For Super Mario, Kuda Mike, Josham James, Mike the Knight, Billy the Bull, Abigail, and Rob, I'm the Todd, and thank you for listening to the 32081.
Thank you for listening to the 32081. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Please don't forget to subscribe to the show so you can join us for the next episode.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
Until next time, take care.